Today, I want to revisit kind of a fun topic, I think, and informational, and that is the shifting dating trends. Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Today, I want to welcome back Joni Caldwell Lerner, the motivational coach, dating coach, relationship expert, and the host of Wake Up with Joni. Joni, thank you for being here again.
Oh, it is so my pleasure. And as you're saying, expert in relationships, it makes me think I'm human too. I don't do anything perfectly, including relationships, but I have learned tools and hacks and ways to communicate that will help people navigate their relationships more easily, more honestly, more authentically.
Well, thank you for admitting that you don't know everything, because I definitely don't. That's why I think, conversations like these are important. Today, I want to revisit kind of a fun topic, I think, and informational, and that is the shifting dating trends. And we've done a one segment on this. I'll link to it. These here are different, and they actually speak to our audience a little bit more. So I did want to have that conversation. So let's look at some of the shifting traits and how we adjust what we do to the dating process. The first one, the way that they phrase it, is it's okay to enjoy the ride. That singles are less stressed and allow themselves to live more in the moment, to really focus on what they're doing, who they're with, and just throwing out those traditional timelines.
At this age, I just threw out the clock completely. I'm not using the OLD word. I'm not using any of that. It is how we think of life is how life shows up. If people are focused on, I need to get a relationship to be happy, I need to be married again so that I don't feel alone or scared, I need this, I need that, and I'm looking in the future, you're down the road, people, you're projecting into the future, which doesn't even exist yet, and you're missing what's going on right now.
You're so right, Joni, because if we are always focused on the future and hopes and dreams and whatever, however good that those may be, we're never satisfied with what's going on right now. And I think this is a wonderful trend. And as the research actually shows here, that is, as we get older, this becomes more important. We let go of all the timelines. So that's I don't know. I think that's a really encouraging trend. It's actually called slow dating. We love to name everything, but that is what you'll find if you Google it, slow dating.
Yeah. And I got the chills as you were saying that, because letting go of that timeline, letting go of that intensity, letting go of what the expectation allows the person to be in the moment right now, in this moment.
Here's one that, we've touched on, but not quite like this. It's sharing viewpoints, that is a top priority, meaning that it is become almost a necessity that you share your core values, but more than that, your political views. Politics, as they even called it here, poly dating. That politics more than ever and world issues are a major role now in choosing someone who you go out with. It says that 81% of daters, based on these surveys that they have done, they want to be able to actively discuss politics with their partner.
Well, here's the other thing too. Yes, absolutely. But that's not what all I want to discuss. Sometimes I have to say, let's put a cork in it, because it is just, especially with this year coming up, right?
And I guess this is something to, as you're dating, I guess expect that. Really think about how important, are the issue related matters and politics to you. How do you handle that? And again, I ask, the audience. I mean, we get very mixed opinions on this, but it's something I think, actively need to think about, especially right now in this year.
Agreed. It's very important stuff.
Here's one that I actually, I kind of heard it, but this is, I think, probably reverts back to more of the younger crowd, is armchair diagnosing is out. It's also called posing. I guess people have really gotten into labeling everybody. Oh, he's a narcissist. He's this, she's that, blah, blah, blah. That's becoming, or has become, really, like, God, I've heard enough. That,
Yeah.
you can be in that, being in therapy is great, but throwing out your own diagnosis of what everybody is has become a no-no. I find that interesting. Have you heard that?
Well, yes, no, but but I completely agree
Yeah.
because, as a coach, I don't label anybody. It's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my training. And I won't label their partners either, but I will
Mm-hmm.
point out particular behaviors. Putting people in boxes, never a good idea. Not ever. You wouldn't want people putting you in a box. However, now having said that, because this is where my brain was going, having said that, we've done shows on signs of gaslighting
Mm-hmm.
and signs of narcissism. And so I think it's valuable that people understand
Mm-hmm.
and know what is out there so
Yes,
that they can have the signposts to keep themselves safe and heading in healthy relationship.
I agree.
But
I
there's a
100% agree. Yeah.
so there's
But
a
I think
line that you walk.
yeah, exactly. And I think it is the access to the internet, the access to Dr. Internet that everybody has now, that you're prevalent to. Oh yeah, that's so and so, that's so and so. I have this disease, I have that. And I just find it interesting that it's something that's being thrown out in the dating world, that it turns people off. So however that might affect you, just don't armchair diagnose.
Yeah.
Now here, this one I love, that FaceTime is a pre-first date requirement now. That just expect, before you meet someone, you actually have a FaceTime call. Now, I've been preaching this, or we have been preaching this for a while, that this is one of the quickest ways to determine whether or not, you're dealing with a scammer or whatever. But yeah, we expect to have a pre-date FaceTime call. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the truth is, when I first started dating after a very long marriage ended, I didn't really want to do the whole FaceTime thing
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like I needed to look a certain way, or
Mm-hmm.
I kept, getting distracted by my own face, and I didn't have a conditioning
Mm-hmm.
or an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So now, from doing these videos with you, and I do a lot of leadership stuff now,
Mm-hmm.
and there are usually 15 to 20 people on the screen, and I've learned to just, be present, and it doesn't matter, and how I look is how I look, and there you go. Not that I wouldn't put a little mascara on a FaceTime, but I've said this before, you need to hear his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. At the very least, you need to have conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That then goes to the FaceTime so that you can
Right.
see all the nuances.
One of the number one objections, online dating, it's just nothing but scammers out there. There are scammers, absolutely. There's scammers everywhere. And this is one way to just rule that out.
Well, I think the generation older than us,
Mm-hmm.
there's an innocence to them because
Mm-hmm.
they did not grow up with this technology, and
Right.
they would no more scam a person the way they're being scammed than fly to the
Right.
moon. So it's not in their realm of reality. So they
Mm-hmm.
have to learn. There's a steep learning curve. Just assume everything's a scam until proven differently. Because
Yeah.
every text that comes through, every email that comes through, I don't click on stuff anymore. I do
No, I
not.
don't
I
either.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
I am so not jaded at all, but
Mm-hmm.
aware.
Aware.
Just be
Exactly.
aware. Yes.
Exactly.
Keep your innocence. Keep that sweetness,
Yeah.
but at the same time, protect yourself. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. It's great advice. And I think that's a great trend. And again, if, like what Joni said, if you're not used to it, just get used to it, because it
Yeah,
can
get
save you a
used to it.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Save you a lot of heartache. And, it might avoid that first date that you don't want to go to anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't see a big downside here. I think it's a
No.
great thing. Here, now this I love. Singles over 50 are on the apps too. That's the biggest trend. So yay, we're a trend that we're
Big
actually, it says here,
surprise.
yeah, the over 51 has grown 200% since 2021. So, and again, we have our viewers listening, and I don't blame you. You're frustrated. Online dating doesn't work, and you have every right to feel that way. There's lots of reasons to feel that way. The fact is, though, it is growing, and if we can just embrace it for the tool that it is versus just expecting the worst to happen. What do you say, Joni?
Well, we have a right to use all tools available to us for our happiness, period. Yeah. Whether it's coaching or therapy or online dating or calling a friend or reading a book or whatever it is. We have a right to happiness. Over 51. I mean, now that I'm like over 60, way over 60, 50 the people over 50, I'm like, you youngsters.
Exactly.
But that's the first decade where people start to feel old. They start to feel invisible, or they start to feel, and there's a lot of gray divorce now too, and that's a category. So let me tell you, 50 something out there, you're still young. And I've decided that I'm 60 something. I'm still young. I've just decided that. And I guarantee you, when I get into my 70s, that's what I'm going to feel too.
Well, you know what, they point out here that one of the reasons that this is changing also, why older people are dating, is because we're redefining what's sexy, what is old, what isn't old. And they're saying that, case in point of all the hot celebrities over 50. And yeah, I mean, there's lots of people that are hot over 50 other than celebrities, but it is what's put out there as being sexy where the trends will eventually go, just like anything in the media. So I think this is very positive that we are being perceived as alive and sexy.
Okay, so can I just define sexy for me?
Please.
This is just me, folks. If you have a sense of self, a confidence, a sense of humor, a lightness of being, an intelligence, all of that is super sexy to me.
Absolutely. And we hit that so hard on this channel. I absolutely agree with you. It's kind of nice, though, that, visually, that's shifting as well. That just by looking at someone who's obviously older, that doesn't necessarily cast you out. I love the changing trend
Agreed.
in what is old and what isn't old. And so I think that's terrific. Again, waiting to hear for comments. This will be another one. I think people have a definite opinion on, and rightfully so. Lastly, here, this is funny. The location isn't a deal breaker, and I'm saying this is funny because you and I did a segment on long distance dating just recently.
Yes.
And out of all the segments we've ever done, I had like the lowest views out the board. It wasn't because people tune in and out. They didn't tune in. I mean,
at all.
It got several thousand views or something, but it was one of our, there was something about the topic of long distance dating that turned people off. My point in wanting to have done that segment is that the whole world is open to us now. Could we make it an option? Why not? Why not open our options? It's really more for discussion and thinking. And that's why that this is a trend, or shown to be a trend. I find that incredibly interesting.
So it's interesting. I have mixed feelings because first of all, I like our segments to do well, but we want to reach as many people as possible. But when I started dating, at first I was like, oh yeah, you live in Fresno, I live in LA. That's not a problem. I'll fly up. And a couple of times after that, I'm like, and he was afraid of flying. So I'm like, it's a long drive. Lopsided. Yeah. At first I thought, well, I can make that work. But then I thought, no, I want them to be nearby. And if I have that choice, great. And the reason we did the segment really was because I live in a tiny town, and somebody came to me and said, how do I do this? How do I make this work? And so I thought, that's a great segment. But I agree, if we can get, if you want somebody local that you can just go have a pizza with or watch the game with, and if you don't, then here are some ideas about what you can do.
Ultimately, it is about getting together. You have to find a way to get together. Otherwise, it isn't a quote, relationship in the flesh, if you will. And what they're saying here too is that what people are doing, well, one, they're expanding their circles and their search. And then some people, this is a good idea, you think about, where might I want to live, or where would I, maybe move to, and just put your profile out, in areas that you might want to aspire to. Yes, it is a next door. It's not gonna, gonna have somebody tomorrow. But given the technology that we have and the frustration and so much the loneliness in this world,
Yes.
I don't know.
So,
I wouldn't trash this.
And I have said this before. I met some of the most extraordinary people and had some of the most remarkable conversations with people we both knew we'd probably never meet, but we were meeting the minds. So something with being satisfied in that exchange. So that goes back to the very beginning of the segment, which is enjoy the journey.
Right.
Enjoy the adventure of it. Who knows who you're going to meet?
Well, again, something to certainly consider, talk about, think about. I think what these trends, as they say, you have in common is that one, traditional relationships, certainly the timelines, it's out. It's shifted, that people are still interested in having fun, meeting, et cetera, et cetera. But they're really focused on having their needs met, and especially what they think, like I said, the politics and core values and issues of the world, that has started as a trend and keeps continuing to grow based on these surveys. I'll kick it over to you. How would you like to end this?
I don't want you to get to the end of your life, people, and say, gee, I wish I would have. I was just scared. The only way out of fear is through it. Find a way to make your life compelling.
Joni, thank you. As always, I will link to all of your information to your podcast, Wake Up with Joni, and your website, where people can contact you directly to coach with you, which a lot of our viewers have already done.
Absolutely. And in fact, maybe we can put my Calendly link in there, make it really easy for them, and they can have a complimentary conversation. Just call me, pick a date and a time, and we'll talk. I love it.
Yeah, no, perfect. We can absolutely do that. Joni, thank you. And I'll see you next time on Second Act TV.
Second Act TV.